Feed the Hunger is really a manifestation of the physical hunger that people have, but also the hunger of the mind and of the spirit, and of how people coming together through our foundation can make a difference in the lives of others.
Internationally, we started working in Inner Mongolia. We just funded a program in Liberia and Africa, and the third place that we'll be looking at is in Latin America.
We do this by using microloans as a way for community building to take place. Loans to people who typically would be considered unbankable. Those who do not have the resources, who do not have the collateral, to be given the opportunity to grow a business, to enable a dream to be fulfilled.
Recently there's been a lot of criticism about the microfinance world. The criticism is just. There are people and there are models of microfinance that really exist to make profit, and that is to make a profit off of poor people. So for us, a loan is a loan is a loan. What's more important is what the loan does. It serves as a platform for bringing people, women, together.
These loans are all about building community. Women come together once a week, and it's not just to repay the little bits of interest on their loan. It's to come together so that in a small group, we may each provide a bag of rice so that this week you will be able to take home the 7 bags and know that you will have enough to feed your family. And next week, it will be someone else's turn. It's women coming together to join in song, to join in dance, to rebuild the very communities sometimes that wars have ripped apart for the last 20 years. Our Liberian microfinance partner, when she started to make small loans to people, what she saw were beggars on the street. Now everyone around her said, "Ma'am, that is a bad idea." When Denise and I went to visit, these beggars were no longer begging. What they did was they bought big, large bags of charcoal, and they broke them up into smaller bags because from their laps, they're able to sell these small bags for mere pennies. And the amount of pride that they had was incredible.
I've spent the last 20-odd years working with at-risk youth and at-risk families, and that had been my passion since high school. But this work that we're doing now seems to hit home with me. And as I think about it, what we're doing is providing opportunities in the form of loans to predominantly women who are just so committed to empowering their children, their families, their community, and who daily do selfless acts to help others. And I thought about this and tried to figure out why this meant so much to me and why it feels so right to me. And I realized that it's because of my background and where I come from. I come from a generation of a very strong grandmother and a very strong mother. And my grandmother overcame tremendous odds and some very difficult situations in life to become the matriarch of her family. And she did this with grace and with compassion, never saying a negative word about anything or any experiences that she had. That was passed on to my mother, who was a very successful businesswoman, and yet all along the way did it with grace and compassion, and always doing it to help her family, her children, her mother, and not for the fame and fortune that came along with it.
I had a grandmother who had bound feet. I had another who was a picture bride, and a mother who took a lot of these traditions and a lot of the culture in terms of raising us, and yet was a very successful businesswoman. I carry all of their legacy, all of their experiences with me in my work. When we first got involved with this, I hadn't realized that most of our work, most of our loans would indeed be going to women. It wasn't until after we got involved in this movement that it dawned on me it was my calling. We believe in investing in human capital, in human resources, and not to necessarily have that be purely a dollar sign. California is one of the largest producers of fruits and vegetables in our country. And yet we have a situation where more than 40% of Latinas are food insecure. These are the very same people who are picking the cantaloupes, picking and growing the lettuce that ends up on our plates. Something needs to be done. And Feed the Hunger Foundation is putting together a program called Food for Thought, our California microfinance program that will be addressing this.
The goal of our Food for Thought program is to provide low-income individuals who have businesses anywhere in the food system, from compost producers to aquaponic farmers, to agricultural farmers, all the way to farmers markets, caterers and lunch wagons, and restaurants. We're really looking at making sure that local, healthy, sustainable food is accessible and affordable to low-income communities. Our strategy in these communities is also to partner with people, organizations, and groups that are already doing work in the communities, who understand the culture, who understand the sense of place of each community. So we'd love to work with people who are already trying to set up farmers markets, who are doing support groups with women, and they are involved in economic development. And in this way, we're joining the community and adding an extra tool for economic development with people who already understand what some of the needs of the community are.
We've been approached by a cooperative of Latino farmers who started with half an acre apiece, and then when they began to produce their own vegetables, they were given a full acre. By year 2, a family member worked full-time on their ever-growing acreage. They came to us because what they need is a hoop house or a greenhouse so that they can expand their product line and be able to support their families. In a few years, they will be able to go out and own their own farms.
We had initially decided that we were going to focus our work internationally. But then our people that we had networked with and worked with previously said, what about your own communities? And for us, that meant 2 places. We had spent the last 20-something years in the Bay Area, and of course the other community was the community of Hawaii, which is where Patty and I are originally from.
So many of the wonderful things that we've learned internationally, the strength of communities, the ability of individuals to be resilient, are really many of the strengths that we have here at home in Hawaii. And we saw this as an opportunity to have lessons shared and to bring our finance work home.
So in Hawaii, we thought we'd look at some of the issues, economic issues that people are struggling with. And what we came up with was the fact that 90% of our food is imported, while 80% of our food is exported. Add to that the fact that what is produced locally is often inaccessible and unaffordable to low-income communities. And add to that the fact that there are very few resources that encourage and promote low-income individuals to become entrepreneurs in this food chain. And lastly, there really lacks an infrastructure in Hawaii for a sustainable food system. There are things we don't have, like slaughterhouses, like pig farms, or even pasteurization equipment and facilities. The goal of our Food for Thought program here in Hawaii is to ensure that local, healthy, sustainable food is affordable and accessible to low-income communities.